Right. So I have Siddharth with me. And before we start, can you quickly give a quick background about yourself and what roles that you're playing currently?
Sure, definitely. So I'm currently working with the Bank of New York Mellon as a DevOps and cloud engineer. So here my roles and responsibilities are like application build and deployment and doing end-to-end automation of the application and creating several pipelines for the infrastructure automation in Jenkins. So in Jenkins, I have created multiple jobs and pipelines by using the scripting language Groovy. So basically, whatever the application code developed by the developers, we build the code and we analyze the code with the Sonar Cube, and we stores the artifact tree in the repository manager Nexus. From there, we'll deploy into the Docker containers. So basically, we have applications in on-premises. So those that applications we migrated to the AWS environment using the AWS services like EC2, S3, Route 53, DynamoDB, SNS, SQS, Lambda functions, and for high availability, setting up the auto scaling and load balancing. So coming to the cloud, I was primarily involved in writing the infrastructure as a code, CloudFormation templates, like creating the stack, updating the stack, and deploying application into that stack environment. And also, like to automate that CloudFormation templates, we are using configuration management tool Ansible. So with Ansible, we are automating those templates into the different environments, development, QA, and production. And also for software installation, upgradation, configuring of servers and instances spin up. We are using Linux patching. Also, we are using Ansible. And coming to the production environment, we have in production we have an environment in Docker and Kubernetes. So whenever the application that we are managing is Java application, those are like microservices pattern. So like whenever we have a new release, new feature, or new service release, we are going to deploy those application into that Kubernetes clusters. So like for Kubernetes cluster metrics monitoring, we are using Prometheus and Grafana. With Prometheus and Grafana, we are monitoring the Kubernetes cluster metrics. So yeah, this is what exactly I'm working here.
Okay. So the profile basically the profile that we were looking for is we are also looking for kind of an engineer who can also automate stuff like write code in Selenium or Java. Plus he also has a DevOps background. So you have any knowledge or experience in Selenium Java as well?
Definitely, I have a good experience on the Selenium. I'm writing various kind of Selenium test cases, and also writing various kind of stuff on the applications and deployment, and having the application code on the runtime environment. And also I have a responsible for release orchestration and deployment, I would like to say. And also I handle the Selenium code for the various environmental different environments, getting approval from the various stakeholders away, and the application created on the target missions. And also like I was responsible for how to get the environment updated and the equal to us, and then we could actually get the keep application which was executed apart from the application service environment. And also, yeah, this is what I'm exactly working here with the Selenium.
Okay, so how about the Selenium builds? How do they run in your current project? I mean, like, do they run in containers, or how do you guys run it? Like, or is it some kind of a machine or something? How you guys run those Selenium codes or anything? The test.
So basically, we are running it on the pom.xml. So we have a pom.xml file when we are running in the Jenkins, which is having the multiple container environment running on the multiple slave services. We are running on the slave hours, and then it's actually one thing apart from the area of having the Windows application, and then the pom.xml, which is in the specified there, and utilizing the runtime machines. And every Jenkins integration we specified, I would like to say there, like whole thing actually runtime service center climate would like to say. Apart from that, we also using the Windows application for the application environment and the health and the orchestration of the environment. Yeah, this is what I'm doing here.
Okay, Siddharth, any questions from your side? We can start from there.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. So basically, can you explain as in the from the framework perspective, right, in the Selenium? So how does that
Can you speak
overall
a
flow
little bit
work?
up?
How
I
your
don't.
data is
Can
stored?
you speak a little bit up?
Give me a sec. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So can you explain a little bit about like the Selenium framework that you mentioned, right? How your data is sourced and what is the structure of the scripts, and like you mentioned, you're using POM, right? So is it a Maven project, and what is the folder structure and how those things are interacting with each other?
So basically, coming to the Selenium framework perspective, I would like to say, actually working on the behavior driven in the keyword driven framework. I was actually working on both of them, eventually creating the framework from the scratch, extracting the reports from there. And I would like to say, and apart from that, I was responsible for handling the automation of the framework and trying to run that. I was also trying to get the data from the Excel sheet and every process responsible for having the form data Maven project, which is created in the actual user ID. The some of the other things inside, like using the multiple elements in the find by element on that, we have the framework which was created was responsible for using the crash for the framework. So like injecting the framework from the Excel, and then in the CSV file, we are doing that. And from there, when the different user browser, WebDriver browser, and test ng result, and using the driver manager with the web element wrapper to create the driver on the edge driver and of automating that in the framework. By using these reports and using the custom screenshot, and we are also having some of the test cases which were passed automatically by using Jenkins. In this case, specify that on the target mission. So this is this kind of thing we are using.
So can you tell me like how do you read the data from Excel? I mean, let's say if there is a fresh implementation and I have to read the data from Excel, right? How do I achieve that from technology perspective?
So basically, I would like to say, we actually have to read the data from the Apache POM library. I would like to say Apache POI library. So I would like to say,
okay.
Inside that we can actually do, if we can, the Maven POM dependency, which is specified there in the artifact, and then we can go and specify the path and use the various control parameters like workbook and XSSF workbook, these things.
Can you explain me the structure of the Maven, like what are different components do we have in the POM file, and what is their usage?
Okay, structure of the pom.xml. Okay, so basically pom.xml it contains a various kind of stuff like synonyms of first of all we need is the Selenium WebDriver for the POM, and then apart from that we also need to have like of the form of the first of all you need to group ID and the artifact ID we need to specify in the license over there. So in this case, for the distribution, we need to specify some properties there for the project, and then custom dependencies, which are used in the case of dependency management, and specify the profile there in the plugins. And then there is a need to specify the execution feature over there. So this is the life cycle of the pom.xml.
So what is the significance of the profiles?
So what is the significance of
profiles? So you mentioned dependencies, and we also can create profiles, right? So what is the significance of profiles?
So basically, I would like to say for that the profile is actually used for running some specific things here. In this case, so basically, I build profile which have a subset of elements available in the form of the Maven.
Creating it, as you mentioned, right? You're using test-ng. So do you need any special, let's say, goals or anything related to test-ng mentioned in the POM?
I didn't understand your question. Can you repeat it again?
So for TestNG and Maven integration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to provide any plugins in the POM regarding TestNG, or how does that work?
So yeah, definitely for testing, I can say like I should have the we need Surefire plugin in the TestNG. Apart from that, you also need to specify some other dependencies like org.testng, also version and scope we need to add over there.
Okay. And let's say if I want always the latest and greatest version of a given dependency which is available, right? So how can I define that? Or is it mandatory I always have to hard code the version number in the POM file?
Yes. Basically, I would like to say for that, coming to the dependency is the highest is always good to hard code, because sometimes you know that there can be some changes will be break the application, but then I still want the latest and greatest latest show the latest version, so that you can just mention the latest or release meta version. So mention here in the mention version is latest. That's it.
Okay. What is the difference in Gradle? You also have mentioned Gradle in your CV, right? So what is the difference in Gradle and Maven?
So Gradle, so the main difference between the Gradle and Maven, which are those are the both are the build tools. So when it is come to the Gradle, is based on the graph of task dependencies, in which the task or the things that do the work file. Maven is based on the fixed and linear model of the phases. With Maven, goals are attached to the project phases. Sorry.
Can you give me an example as in which project you will go ahead with Maven and which you will use Gradle? I mean, from a implementation perspective, or any project that you will have already used, why you choose Gradle instead of Maven?
Java and Spring Boot will be actually going with the Maven, and then coming to the Gradle, Android and other projects will use the Gradle.
So you're saying for a Java project we can also use Gradle?
We can use Gradle, but as per the best practices outside, and the Maven has a life cycle, that is the main thing. Innovation helps us to have the application code which will be easily specified in the target environment.
Okay. Okay, let's come to Selenium now. Can you tell me what type of locators do we have in Selenium? And which one should be used from the best practices perspective?
So basically, I would like to say for the locators which are available, we should by using CSS ID, class name CSS, also name, also DOM, XPath, relative path, and link test, and partial link text, those things.
So which one is the best to be used? I mean, if I have, let's say I have all 4 properties, right? I have CSS also available, I have XPath also, I have ID also, and other also. So which one should I choose first? Which is the best to be there in first place? What is the hierarchy that that I should choose the selection from?
So hierarchy. So basically, I should be using the relative path and the expert, because that actually helps a lot of making sure that it really works fine without that.
So if you're using XPath, right? So is there any cross-browser testing? So let's say if you have to validate your application in Chrome browser and Internet Explorer and different browsers, right? So is there any issue with using XPath?
XPath, basic level one to say that to take to the cross-browsing testing, we can actually have the XPath for the multiple browsers. So basically, for the cross-browser express implementation in Java, to begin actually have the latest version of the XPath in some with the relative path and with the relative path, and then coming to the sorry
to interrupt you. Sorry. So what my question is there any drawback of using the XPath with any of the browsers, or we are good to use XPath everywhere?
Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Is there any?
I'm saying when you're using the XPath, right, is there any drawback of using the XPath for any given browser, or it works perfectly fine for all the browsers? There is no performance or any issues related to XPath for any given browser.
Yeah, the basic to say the main drawback for the first of all is for the reflection. When you give the wrong result in this case, the entire part of the location will be ensured having the main disadvantages. So basically, due to the small changes in the absolute XPath main change and won't work in the some of the cases in the synonym locator. And then apart from that, I want to the thing is that is contains the location of the element will be the faster when compared to the other, and this is the connection is changed the expression on the buttons, and then the connection having the application cron development console which can be used here.
Okay. How do you achieve the synchronization with Selenium?
So basically, coming to the synchronization in Selenium, we can actually do this this by using the various kind of flight time with values, and then apart from that, I can have multiple components which will be working together in the usual in the test automation. Then becomes the in the application under test, and we can actually specify the automation tool. They will be having the implicit wait in the condition of synchronization and explicit wait, and having the fluent wait for that, which will be used for some conditions, wherein the page will be working
So
on the top of the. Sorry.
Yeah. What is the difference in implicit, explicit, and fluent waits?
So basically, I would like to say coming to the main differences between the explicit that are the grades. So basically, explicit wait is something which is used to hold the execution of the program, and whenever you know there is a condition which is better than come in this, and implicit wait is I would like to say implicit wait, that implicit wait will be something which allows you to all the WebDriver for the particular period of time until the location will be actually complicated. And where coming to the fluent wait is actually can be defined the maximum amount of time to wait the specific condition, that the frequency which will be checking the condition in this case here on the runtime.
Okay. How do you perform a double click in Selenium?
Sorry, double click?
Yeah. So let's say if you have to perform a double click operation, right?
Uh-huh.
Then how do you do that in Selenium?
So basically, for the double click on the subsidiary way, we can do that by using the Selenium driver in the action classes. Inside the action classes, I shall have the element which will be specified there inside the launched web browser, and then use reaction classes to do that. Inside the window, I have to go to the using CSS selector for that, and then prove that perform the double click by specifying the double click for the WebDriver code for element, and use the perform link test, and then double click will be the action double click will be. So basically we mentioned like action double click element dot perform and brackets here. This is what we'll do.
Okay. So how do we handle iframes with Selenium? So let's say you have an application, right, and you have an iframe that is an embedded frame with the page, and now you have to handle or you have to control some particular let's say button or something within that iframe. Then how do you do that?
So basically, coming to the Selenium iframe, I would like to say we can actually do that binding the iframe in the WebDriver using switch to. So basically, this is actually identified by the day for your write to an element and find the option this, and then inside we can actually have the page click inside that. So we can define like int size equal to size driver, find elements by target name, iframe size. So we can define like this.
Okay. So now coming to Java, right? Can you tell me what is the difference between a class and a interface?
Class and interface. Okay. The main difference between the class and interface is that Java interfaces and then attract the and cannot have the implementation where is on the other hand abstract class can have instances method that instrumental that implement the default behavior in the Java class can implement multiple interfaces, but it can only abstract class in this case this is what the difference.
So WebDriver is a class or an interface?
Sorry?
WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver is a class or an interface?
So basically, WebDriver is actually like an interface, which is actually available. There is basically interface is actually into the different state of method implementation is provided by the browser specific classes, and then some of the implementation and Android driver and Chrome driver in the Firefox regular Internet Explorer and iPhone driver, as well as the Safari driver.
Okay. So what is the difference in static and non-static variables in Java?
So coming to the static and non-static variable, I would like to say that the static variable is something which will not static method is actually not change in the environment. I would like to say then coming to the main difference, set a variable is shared among all instances of the class, and then non-static variable is that specific to that instances of the class, and static variable is a global variable and is available to all the methods in the non-static variable in the local variable, and they can be accessed into the only one of the instances in this case for the application environment.
Okay. So let's say in Selenium, right? If I want to do parallel execution, so should I define my WebDriver as static or non-static, and why?
Hello.
Yeah. So
can you please repeat
Selenium,
it again?
Right?
In Selenium,
Yeah. So for Selenium, your WebDriver, right? If you want to achieve parallel execution, so should your WebDriver be static or non-static?
Basically, it depends on the execution part. I would like to say Selenium, you can actually define the non-static variables or the non-static variable which are actually specified there, and it actually will be actually used for the non-static variable class, which are the keyboard classes before that, and the non-static method belongs to the object of the class, and then have create instance for the class to access it. And in the static method, can have any static method in the static variable.
The question is, okay, let me put it the other way, right? So if I define the WebDriver as static WebDriver, then can I achieve the parallel execution?
So when you define your static, and every third has access to it, and every can modify the memory space. That is why in this case it is doubtful that about the possibility to use the WebDriver instance as static. But you can consider the Selenium grid in order to run the multiple tests across the browser.
Okay, so can you put some light on Selenium grid? What is the use of that and how to set it up?
So basically, a Selenium grid, something which will let you do the parallel execution, is actually the feature that allows you to run the test cases in the different machines across the different platforms. In the control of triggering and test cases is on the local machine, and then when the test case it let it go, they're automatically executed by the remote machine.
Okay. And okay, in Java, what is the difference in an array list and a hash map?
So basically, the main difference between the array list and the hash map is that the array list is actually having the completely different on the implementation side. So the main difference is that analysis index-based data structure backed by error, while in the hash map is actually a structure which is working on hashing to retrieve the stored value like to C in this case, and this is the both for array list and the hash map, not synchronized. When I would like to say the difference one of the other is that the second difference is that hash map is there, the real is stored two objects in the key and value, and then the released section list of the object. That the difference is that has many. Hello.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, so coming to TestNG, right? Can you explain the flow of TestNG? How does that work? What are the components involved in it?
So coming to the TestNG, I would like to say that is actually the rest assured framework, and actually it is the architecture which is having with the things inside. So basically inside IB and the test cases which is executed in this case, we have the input TestNG class, and then the framework will generate the report login, Wikidata words, and then we have to various can the block date and jack connector which will be the used when then we also have the after test and then the other test method in this case which are specified apart from the application.
So in your implementation, did you use that before and after methods?
Before and after method. So so basically implementation using them in our environments because we had a lot of test cases which has to be implemented in our case, and the new realizing then them on the target environment in trying to reply the other third party environment.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. So the question is, in the TestNG, right? Did you use before and after methods? And if yes, then how did you use that?
So yes, I was actually used in the TestNG annotation over action using all of this before class and thereafter methods of the before method to the mark to the annotation, which will be executed before every test conducted method, and therefore method is marked with.
So which operations? Yes, which operations did you do in that before and after methods?
Before and after. So basically coming to the before and
test. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
So basically, coming to the before and after method, I would like to say that we can actually do that are a multiple method, like maybe calling the API. So that is one thing, and apart from that, we can also try to use them for calling the very third-party methods, and then we can actually use them for the other classes and economics and the factory annotation to return some of the classes is executed in this case, and identify the method which are there to run the pattern in this case.
But did you use that in your, I mean, the thing that you mentioned, right? You also have some framework implemented using TestNG. Did you use that in your
Yes, we are actually using that and using it on the test environment and working on.
Correct. So I mean, the answer that you gave me is generic thing, right? What we can do, I am asking is what you are currently doing in your implementation in those methods.
So basically, this is just a practical example. Maybe how you would have used it in your project.
So for that, we are using like Windows methods in Excel using custom thing. So we are trying to write time call from the plain all Java classes in the employee detail classes, and inside that we are using the states that the API class, which is having the multiple stages, especially the payment and other things. So basically, the first of all, we will use for the before method to execute the card details verification for the Visa API, and then from there we can actually go ahead and try to rather than after message the children for the various conductor. On top of that, for the classes utilized as part of the application and elements and handle the maintenance of the application environment. In this case, we should be using. So yes, we will be use it before method and then trying to validate the API from there on the third party as per the application.
Okay. How do you do the data parameterization with TestNG? Is it possible to do the data parameterization using TestNG?
So basically, for this, I would like to say, coming to the data parameterization in the TestNG, we can actually do that by specifying the data provided in the XML. And then apart from that, using the testing the decimal annotations, inside that we can have the parameter of annotation, which can be used for passing them in the browser in that. We can have the value attribute feature.
what is the return type of data provider?
Sorry, can you please repeat it? What is the
return type of data provider? Does it return any value, any object or anything?
So the data provider returns an array of objects that will actually have an array of objects which is returned in this case.
Okay. And then what is the flow after that once it returns an array of objects?
Software testing reduction define the data provider, and then after that the next step is I should have the various for the data methods which are acting on the top of that. So basically I will never let we are providing the username and password. So we'll actually that the message text inside that, and then there should be a map to the authentication method, and then we'll actually have the go test executed on the top of that, so that the authentication is handled in the proper way.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me the difference in TestNG and JUnit?
So basically, the main difference between the TestNG and the JUnit is that the TestNG is a testing framework by introducing some of the new functionalities that make it more powerful and easier to use. So TestNG is the automated testing framework where is the next generation and test and the similar to the JUnit, but there is no not an extension but a totally a new thing which is used on the runtime.
Okay.
Okay, so with that, do you have anything from Java or TestNG side? Anything else that you want to ask?
I think we're good for TestNG in Java.
Okay. So, have you worked on any version control systems?
Version control, yes, I worked on the GitHub and Bitbucket, and also responsible for the kind of branching strategies here.
Can you how did you integrate any version control systems into your project? So what was the process that you guys used?
So coming to the version control system in this project, I would like to say that we have actually working on the button on the runtime environment, and then I would like to say we're also responsible for how to handle that we have the various repositories and we can merge the code in this case, and apart from that try to create the branching and merging strategies and also indicate the Jenkins environment, I would like to say.
Can you step back a little bit? A general example, you have a Java project, suppose you're using some IDE. How do you approach to integrate version control into your current project? And
for example,
so how do you do it?
So example, Java
give me a practical example.
Sure. Like Java project, basically we have we can actually do that by specifying the remote URL and the username and the password. And then one that is in the next would be the also specify the letter developer is automatically checking the code, and we will have to specify the repository, and then whenever he pushes, if there any automatic webhook which will be triggering the application on the environment, with try to push the code to the remote code to the remote environment and indicate that Jenkins build. There I would like to say for this is called the orchestration environment that we have. So whenever the developer push the code, the Jenkins build automatically triggered by the webhooks. So this is the way we created here.
Are you familiar with Git Bash?
Git Bash, yes.
Or any command line interface for GitHub or any version control systems?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Git Bash.
How do you create a repository in Git from command line?
Git init and git add dot and git commit -m and the message that we want to commit, and git push -u origin master, and this is the commands we use.
So to create a repository, you pass on git push or git pull.
So to create a repository,
you write the command as git push or git pull?
Yes.
What do you write?
Push. Git push.
Okay. Okay, so suppose you want to clone a repository. How many methods are there to clone it? Like, what are the protocols that are used from Git?
So basically, from the command line, I would like to say we can do it from the SSH and also from the HTTP, SSH and HTTP. So git clone, the command we can use like git clone HTTP URL and git clone SSH.
What is the difference between SSH and HTTP? Why are there two protocols?
HTTP port 443 and SSH port 22. So the main difference is basically HTTP will be wearing the port 443, which is the secret of the essential, and the report for the SSH is that the port 22, which is actually lies on the runtime environment.
Okay. Okay, so I'll give you a quick scenario. So suppose there are two members in the team. You created an initial repository in Git. Both of you have checked out the code. Suppose one person ends his day, commits something in Git. The next person, what should he do to have the latest code? What are the commands or what is the procedure that you would follow to have the latest code? The command we can use the latest code
git rebase URL, or we can use the git stash also, git stash or git rebase or git stash apply. These commands we can use.
What is stash? What is git stash?
Or git pull or git stash. So basically coming to the git bash command, which the command which latest of the local changes in a temporary area, and then you can apply those in the runtime environment. So this is what the git stash.
So why would you not use pull and use stash command?
We can also use the git pull. So basically,
why are there two commands then? If you want to, if they do the same function, why do we have push and like pull and
so basically,
stash?
I will be locally having some changes on the local repository, so that just to make it safe. So basically, I will be using here. So if I don't have any local changes, because there might be some conflicts in this case, we will actually just use simple form of application. So.
Okay. Okay, so that's fine on the Git side. So what are the other build tools that you've used? Have you used TeamCity by any chance?
TeamCity? Yeah, definitely. I would like to say I was actually using the TeamCity for the GitHub enterprise environment, and also responsible for using it a various kind of team environment. And also like using it for the build and release management. I would like to say to send it to the different environments, and I'm integrating those services and also orchestrators on the team deployments and integrations.
Okay, so give me an example where suppose you are in a testing project, right? You're writing automation test cases, and your end goal is to kind of have everything automated from end to end, right? Including the scripting, check into Git, and the running of the code automatically from Jenkins or like TeamCity. How would you go about doing it? Can you quickly walk through from the first step till the last? What all would you do?
So basically, I was reading the Jenkins file based Groovy button for the application, and I was actually responsible for handling the GitHub enterprise environment on the last step. In this case, for the application, and apart from that, also responsible for handling the Jenkins integration and deployment. So inside the various stages and steps, to the first, the step is actually utilizing the application environment code for the automatic checkout, and we're also trying to get the stages created there, and then created to get the environment code which was taken from there, and automatically, and then trigger the various stages in the Sonar Cube, in the web browser integration test for the application.
Okay. So when you run cases or test cases or any build from TeamCity, there is a concept called agents inside it. Do you know anything about it?
So basically, coming to the so basically, I would like to say that we can use the agents inside the build TeamCity for the applications. So yes, we can do that by specifying the build agents in the TeamCity, which will be running on the remote environment studies team agents, or actually want to be running the inside the TeamCity build agents. Actually, something which runs on the listens for the command from the TeamCity server and start the actual build process on the environment, and there it is for the environment to build process on the environment.
How do you configure a build agent?
Basically, if I want to configure the build agent, want to actually do it. First of all, you need to have the access to the remote machine, and then logging the machine can be have the unidirectional agent to agent server communication, and install the Windows installer, or maybe as a file, and then install the via agent push, which can help you to specify the Java runtime environment, and also using utility to able to create that as a runtime integration environment and help that.
Okay, so you set up an agent on the remote machine. How would TeamCity know that it has to use this particular agent in its project or when it is running?
So basically, you have to specify the username of the service, or we have to specify the host name, and then we also make sure that we'll be mentioning the port number and install. It is a service wrappers inside the service wrapper display name. We have to specify the automatic agent start and start the Linux by specifying the parameter there, and then the default target will actually be able to get on the remote build agent, which will be on Windows services on the success of the exit status in the code. Environmental, I would like to say.
Okay. Can TeamCity be used for deploying code as well?
So basically, connect to the multiple servers at the same time. You can actually do that by using the TeamCity agents, and also copy that. So I should do that. Then apply the way the different tags and casually track it, and making sure there is some test jobs on the top of that. Yes, he has a built-in deployment for the single target only, but not for the multiple targets. And then apart from that, you can actually club it with Ansible or some other tools, which will help to specify the configured source and the deployment model, and then run it on the top of that for the Microsoft deployment or on any of the target machine.
Okay. I'm good, Siddharth. If you have anything else.
Okay. So can you tell me regarding the shell script part you've mentioned?
Can you speak a little bit up?
Okay, maybe there's some issue with my microphone. So you've also mentioned shell script, right?
Yeah, your automation shell script,
Yeah. So if let's say there is a Unix file and I want to get the number of characters in the largest line in the whole file, right? How can I get that?
We can use the cat file.txt pipe wc-l.
Okay. Is it the capital L or a small L?
Capital L.
Okay. What is the difference between capital and small L?
So basically, I would like to say, coming to the capital L and the small L, I would like to say that smaller gave me the line account, and actually the capital will give the maximum line length on the longest line, and then this is the main difference. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I have a file, right? I have a, let's say, pipe delimited file, and it contains the let's say client information. Now I want to get all the lines which has a last name, let's say XYZ, right? So how can I do that? I want the whole record. from the file?
So I want all the lines, right? So basically, we can I could do that. We can actually just get specify the lines containing strings on the specific contours. We can use by grep hyphen hnr string file.txt output.text. Yeah, this is the syntax we can use.
Okay. So let's say I don't want the whole line. I just want some part of it, right? I just want the next index location of that.
So basically, if you want to specific line, you have to something like AWK tool for that. So AWK hyphen
Can you tell me how?
AWK hyphen F cut hyphen D or the file ABC. I believe this is the context syntax we can.
Can I use the sed command also?
Yes, you can use the sed command also. You can do that the various to do the basically. You can find only specific lines and also some specific text in this case. We can actually print a matching line by using the sed by doing something like the command, the syntax like sed hyphen n abc hyphen he hyphen p file.txt.
So what is the difference? What is the difference in AWK and sed?
Search sed search edit delete. So basically the main difference between is that AWK is a programming language which is used for the process to modify the text, and both of them for the text manipulation and depends upon the keys connection. Using both of them in this case on the runtime. So this is what the AWK and sed.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. One last question maybe from my side is, can you tell me the difference between GitHub and SVN, and why GitHub?
GitHub and SVN subversion?
Yes. Yes.
So basically, GitHub Enterprise actually something like which is the distributed version control system in this case, and any connection utilize the version control on the runtime environment, and then the subversion would be the something which will be used for the centralized version. And GitHub is a very good in the lot of things application environment has the application code for the detailed environment. GitHub.
So what is the practical difference in using both of them? I mean, you said it is like good, right? How it is good?
So basically, coming to the practical differences between us, I would like to say that Git is more protective and productive in this case. This can be done and used and then commit. Then the SVN is got some challenges with the trunk in this case.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm good, Jitendra.
Okay. So you have any questions from your side?
So what is that? What is your team size and day-to-day responsibilities, and is there any next steps for this? What is your expectation?
So basically, this requirement is basically for a kind of a platform support team. So which would work in parallel with multiple teams, right? So there are multiple teams in our the project in UBS or the Cognizant that we have. So you would be responsible to kind of coordinate with each team and cater to their needs on all the CI/CD setups, helping them with Selenium automation and all those things. So that is the kind of profile that we're looking for. It's not necessarily a pure DevOps profile, but yeah, I mean, it's a combination of everything.
DevOps and QA both. Okay. So is there any next steps after this, or what? Like, what is the next steps after?
So next step would be we'll get back to you once we have done our internal investigation or discussion on this one. We'll get back to you on any other next steps that we have. So probably give us a day or two, and someone from HR probably would reach out to you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right then. Thank you so much.